Have you ever walked home alone late at night? The world feels different then. The busy sounds of the day are gone, replaced by the soft scuff of your shoes. Streetlights cast long, twisting shadows. Every noise makes you jump. A rustle, a distant siren, the creak of a swing in the park. Elliot, a young man, was walking home from his late shift at the diner. The streets were empty, the windows dark. He'd walked this way 100 times, but tonight felt different. Heavy, almost electric. The silence buzzed in his ears as he quickened his pace, keys jingling in his pocket. He passed the old bookstore, the park, counting cracks in the pavement to distract himself. But the feeling of being watched clung to him. Shadows seemed longer, darker. He pulled his jacket tighter, wishing for the safety of his apartment at the end of the block. 1, 2, 3. He counted steps, trying to think of breakfast, of anything normal. But the prickling on his neck wouldn't fade. He turned onto his street, eyes fixed on the distant glow of his building. He just had to keep walking. But the sense of being watched only grew stronger. Elliot looked up and froze. Under a streetlight halfway down the block stood a man, perfectly still, as if he'd materialized from the shadows. No car, no open door, just him, staring. Elliot's heart thudded. He took a step, then another, unsure if the man needed help or if he should cross the street. But the man's gaze was locked on him, head tilted, eyes unwavering. Elliot's feet felt glued to the pavement. The world shrank to just the two of them and the empty sidewalk. Sweat prickled his palms. He told himself to move, to walk past, but fear rooted him in place. Crossing the street now would be obvious, so he kept walking, trying to act casual, but with every step he felt the man's eyes following him. The silence was no longer peaceful. It was charged, threatening. Elliot's only thought, get home, get inside. He fixed his eyes on his apartment door, willing himself forward, but the man's stare never wavered. As Elliot drew closer, the man's features sharpened, and fear spiked. He was tall, unnaturally thin, dressed in a black suit too formal for midnight. But it was his face that chilled Elliot. A smile stretched too wide, lips pulled into a grotesque curve. His eyes were wide, unblinking, fixed on Elliot. The streetlight made his skin look waxy, almost artificial. The smile never faltered, teeth too perfect, too white. It was a mask of mockery, not warmth. Elliot couldn't look away, trapped by the wrongness of it all. Was this a prank? Was the man sick? Or something worse? 30 feet away now, Elliot's skin crawled. The man's smile seemed to widen, as if feeding on his fear. Elliot's mind raced for explanations, but none made sense. The man just stood there, smiling, watching, unblinking. Elliot took a step, and the man mirrored him. Left foot forward, left foot forward. Elliot stopped. The man stopped. Was it coincidence? He tested it. Right foot forward, right foot forward. The man copied every move, a delayed reflection in a dark mirror. The smile never faded. The eyes never blinked. Panic surged. This was no accident. Elliot took 2 quick steps. The man followed, perfectly in sync. It was a silent, horrible dance. The man's limbs moved with eerie precision, as if performing for an audience of one. Elliot's fear became the rhythm, his steps the music. He wanted to scream, but no sound came. He was trapped in a game he never agreed to play. The man's smile seemed to stretch even wider, savoring Elliot's terror. Elliot knew he had to break free, now. He gathered his courage, ready to run. The man's eyes glittered, waiting for his next move. Elliot ran. He didn't look back. He couldn't. His feet pounded the pavement, lungs burning, heart racing. The only thought in his mind, escape. He fumbled for his keys at the building's door, hands shaking. The street behind him was empty. The man gone. Relief didn't come, only sharper fear. Where was he now? Elliot jammed the key into the lock, stumbled inside, and slammed the door. He locked it, bolted it, pressed his back against the wood. Safe, for now. He rushed up the stairs into his apartment, locking every lock. He peered through the blinds, nothing. The street was empty, silent. but the image of that smile was burned into his mind. He tried to calm his racing heart, but the fear lingered. The night felt endless. Morning brought no comfort. Elliot checked the building's security cameras, desperate for proof he wasn't losing his mind. He found the footage, grainy, black and white. There he was, hurrying down the street. And there, under the streetlight, stood the man. The figure was unmistakable, even in low resolution. Elliot watched himself run, slam the door, but the man didn't leave. For an hour, he stood perfectly still under the light. Then slowly, he walked toward the camera. His face filled the screen, the smile, the unblinking eyes. He stared directly into the lens, as if looking at Elliot. He didn't blink, not once. For hours, the man stood there, smiling. The timestamp ticked forward. 3, 4, 5 a.m. The man never moved, never looked away. Elliot shut the laptop, horror settling in. The nightmare was real. That night, Elliot left every light on, glued to the security feed. Midnight, 1, 2. At 2:30 a.m., the man appeared. This time, across the street, half hidden by a tree, staring up at Elliot's window. Elliot's blood ran cold. The man stood there for 10 minutes, unmoving, then slowly waved before vanishing into the night. The next night, Elliot waited. At 2:30, the man returned, sitting on a park bench, hands on knees, head tilted up, smiling. It became a ritual, a silent, terrifying appointment. Every night, at the same time, the man appeared somewhere near Elliot's home, sometimes across the street, sometimes at the end of the block. Once, the camera caught him pressed against the lobby door, grinning into the lens. He never tried to get in, never made a sound. He just watched, then left. Elliot's life became a cycle of dread, counting down to 2:30. He didn't know what the man wanted. He only knew the visits would not stop. The smiling man was always there, waiting, and Elliot could do nothing but watch. The cameras began to glitch, static, flickers, warped images, whenever the man appeared. Elliot called the building manager. A technician found nothing wrong, but the glitches only happened when the man was on screen. Sometimes the timestamp froze or skipped. It was as if the man's presence broke the technology. One night, Elliot saw the man outside and called the police. As the squad car approached, the camera feeds went black. Signal lost. Elliot switched cameras. Nothing but darkness. Minutes later, police knocked on his door. They'd found no one outside. As soon as they left, the cameras flickered back to life. The street was empty. The man was gone. Elliot realized the man could control what was seen, what was recorded. No evidence, no proof, just Elliot's word and his terror. The nightly visits continued, undeterred. The man was always one step ahead. Weeks became months. Elliot's life shrank to a cycle of fear and waiting. He tried to move but knew it wouldn't matter. The man was tied to him, not the place. No one believed him. The police dismissed his calls. He stopped telling anyone, carrying the secret alone. The smiling man never spoke, never touched him, but his presence was poison, wearing Elliot down. The not knowing was the worst. Why was he here? What did he want? Every night, Elliot sat by the window, laptop open, watching the clock. At 2:30, the man would appear, on the street, on the screen, always looking up. He never blinked. He always smiled. The man always came back. Elliot dreaded the night he might do more than watch. One night, he feared, the man would come inside. Until then, Elliot waited, trapped in a nightmare with no end. The world slept, but Elliot watched, and was watched in return. The smile was always there, wide and waiting, and the clock kept ticking toward 2:30.